Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday, my crew. Here we are. It's time for some game dev. How's everyone doing? Thanks for the hydrate. Smooth in a second. I'm gonna drink some coffee, but I'll circle back on that. This coffee is reaching a kind of thermal death, so I need to be quick about it. I need to finish drinking this. Hey, Rihanna Journey. Oh, look at your shiny gold sub badge. That looks good. All right. How's everyone doing this week? We are... So... Hey, Arneo. How's it going? Look at everyone with their beautiful sub badges. You love to see it. Yeah, so I was a little dismayed yesterday because I realized I made like a pretty crucial mistake when we were setting this up. I tried to encode the autotiler logic, including the corners, the little corner dots, the corner cases, because it's all edges and all corners. And it's all the combinations of those that make sense. I made a mistake, and I tried to structure this using just two axes. So we have like the vertical lines going out based on X position. And then I had the vertical lines encoded to the Y position, but then I also encoded the dots, the corner cases, to the Y position. And that looked fine, but it doesn't work because we set each component independently. And the idea is that every combination, whatever combination of the individual components you get to, you end up at a unique final coordinate. And the problem is you can't, it's like trying to use, it's like we basically set this up to be like a flag system, like a bit flag system, so that you can combine them together or pull out the individual components and it just works, right? So this doesn't work, unfortunately. So I've tried I came up with a new approach yesterday, and I finished kind of describing it last night to myself. And this is kind of my diagram of it. So if we look at like the X map and the Y map, I've decided that we're going to map these onto 4 axes. And I'll kind of explain why, which is that, so here's like the basic set of 16 tiles here. Right now they've got the indexes into the tile map, the actual texture, which is this thing, sort of. Oh, I wanted the A-Sprite file. This one. Yeah, there we go. So here's the actual like file that we're using. This is the group that we're describing here. It's floor group. Hey, Prishlexov. I unfortunately cannot read Russian, but hello. Or I should say I cannot read that script. I actually don't know what language you're using. So here they are. Let's just focus on the X map, I guess. So if we look, let's pick one. So 1, 1. So let's look at the one numbered 16 here. This is got an outline on the bottom and an outline on the left. So left and the bottom. You can see the outline is still there, but it's missing outlines on the top and the right side, but it's got this dot. So this is the corner. So if we look at this, so let's engage the 1, 1 layer. So here's the tile from the 1, 1 layer. And now we've switched axes. So this is 1, 1 along the XY, but now we got to think about the ZW. And I was struggling to like how to represent a 4-dimensional, position in a 2D drawing. So I've just decided to do it this way. So you'll notice that tile 37 is the version of tile 16 that doesn't have the corner anymore. Like it's missing the corner. And that we can do that for a lot. The most obvious case is this one, tile 46. This is the case that's missing all sides and only has corners. So this is X3, Y3. So if we engage the X3, Y3 layer here, you can see that these are all the variations along the Z and the W axes for tile 46. They're all different numbers because they all map to different positions in this. This thing. Actually change the grid. Oh. Yeah, like that. I don't love that changing the grid causes the file to need to be saved again, but this is it. I'm not going to show the grid. I just want to have it. So it's this section. There's a few other details here, which is, so that's how the X map and the Y map works with this 4-dimensional mapping from the Atlas, or from the autotiler. Because that's the nice thing about this is you say, okay, so you figure out the X, so you figure out the sides here, right? And that gives us our 3, 3. And you can arrive that independently. You can say, here's what I want the X coordinate to be. Here's what I want the Y coordinate to be. And then once you're there, you can say, okay, we need to get rid of this corner. So we'll increment Z by 1. And then we'll be like, okay, we also need to get rid of this corner. So we increment Z by 2. And then you can add those together and get Z equals 3. And then you can do the same thing for W. So we can when using kind of a flag-like system like this, we can determine each coordinate independently of the other, which is great because that simplifies the autotiler behavior to an extent. And it lets us always arrive at a legitimate coordinate when we combine them. So great. So that's the X map and the Y map. The Z map is trivial because the Z map doesn't have corners. The Z map only has sides. So this mapping is like trivial. And then extent X. What is extent X? Extent X talks about the fact that the full walls here are more complicated than the half walls or the floors. So these are the floor tiles. Oh, this music is so nice. So the walls are a little more complicated because they have, there's an upper half of the outline and a lower half of the outline. And so what I want to try to do is to just extend that. I call this like extended X or something like that. So when we need to account for the fact that there's this multi-phase kind of X outline thing, we can represent that by just another additional 2 bits that just says, okay, where within this are we? Are we getting rid of this? Or are we getting rid of this? Or are we getting rid of both? What can we do? And then that should allow us to just use this mapping. Essentially, it's a little different. It's a little different. I should probably diagram it to an extent, but because it's basically going to be, so this first step, which is eliminating the negative X outline, that's accounted for here. And so it's a little different in that this now would be the positive Y outlines 3 steps. So I should probably diagram that out a little bit, but I don't want to do that right now. I just want to do the work. So I rewrote the mapping last night as well. We can open a Godot and everything. I rewrote the little JSON file that maps this stuff for us. Have a great stream. Thanks. Thanks, Pheasant. Take it easy. So I rewrote the mapping. You can see here, it's just vector 4s everywhere. And its values, the values for the vector 4s are between 0 and 3. I want to keep working on this diagram because I want to have something that I can put in the file so that I can put in the game or put on like a wiki or something that's like, here's how the default tile mapping works. Like, sort of for people that want to make their own texture maps and stuff so they can understand how to organize their textures. I mean, they could also just copy from this arrangement, which is why I'm including like helpful diagrams. So you'll notice here that the mappings are the same when you compare the groups to the individual indexes here. So we can use the same mapping. The one thing I'm concerned about is this stuff when we have null tiles. I want to make sure that we're doing that consistently. So like this one and this one are wrong. I actually need to fix some of this stuff. This one should actually be... Oh yeah, I need to change some of this. We need to move this thing over. I'm going to change the music here. Yeah, that's better. I'm going to move these over because I need to observe the rule that I specified earlier, which I was not doing, I realize. I'm going to move this over here like that. Same thing. This needs to actually be over here. I need to follow this, the extent X, which says solid outline, remove this one, remove this one, remove this one. Although actually these don't obey that, do they? Because we're not talking about that side. Oh. How do I do this then? Let me undo what I just did. I need to fully grok what I'm doing here. Oh, for Y, it should still be... Why is this the Y shape here? All right, some concerns with when we're talking about these. I want to make sure I do this right. I don't really want to change this organization because it's simple. It's kind of based off of a Minecraft arrangement I've seen where they do this. The white outline here is supposed to help you track the outlines. This is kind of how it's arranged. The white outline represents either corners or sides. And so we arrange the tiles like this within each group like this. And it's kind of arbitrary. However, I just wanted to pack it densely, and this was the most reasonable dense packing I found that someone shared with me. The complexity is when you try to extend it out to this whole thing. And that's where I just need to double check that I'm doing this correctly. Because we need to follow this rule here, I think. I just want to make sure that we can. I'm going to check the mappings here. I kind of understand. Oh, this is a bit of a problem. So when we look at a group like group 10, this is easy. Because this follows, you can see there's the outline here and then no outline here. And that follows the extent X pattern here, where it's solid, full solid, missing this half, and then missing this half, and then all of it being cleared. That works for this. The problem is, and that easily applies to this situation of these two tiles here, because here you would have, you're missing two, but you would basically have the version of this with a full outline. Oh, but again, this is the Y, not the X. This is awkward. Is there a way around this that's like acceptable? I'm gonna check something. Let's open this in two windows and do some comparisons. All this just to be able to, you know, densely pack the tile atlases. It's a lot. It's a lot just to do. So the reason we're running into a problem is that some of these groups, let me get rid of the indexes. So I call these groups because I'm packing them in like groups. I'm treating them like they're these tiles over here. But I think that I might be making a mistake to an extent. Some of them are easy, relatively speaking. I'm trying to work under this constraint, which is probably unnecessary, but it looked good when I spotted it, which is that if you notice a vector 4 like this that can only have values between 0 and 3, I can represent each component with just 2 bits, which means this vector 4 could just be stored as a byte, which means instead of having this be the key of a dictionary, I could just set this up as like a simple array with a length of 256. And even though we're not using, well, not 256, it would be a length of 64. And you would just basically use the byte as a series of bit flags. And if we do that, if we can store these mappings into an array and not a dictionary, then we can just put them in a buffer and store them on an entity and not have to worry about storing things like dictionaries and stuff on some class somewhere. And that would be cool, especially for supporting more than one kind of texture set atlas. I'm worried that it's like too much of a constraint, because already we can see that constraint break down when we start talking about these extended wall things. Because this one needs an additional 2 bits. Which I guess isn't that bad. We could always just use a larger bit field to hold them. I just don't exactly... I don't want to do that if I don't have to. I'm a little concerned that I'm going to have to. Because these don't follow the rules that I'm expecting. I want to check this out. I need to diagram this out a little bit to understand what's happening here. Which is fine. We already have the setup for it. I just need to do it. So let's make this bigger so we have more space to work with. And let's take this thing. Let's extend it down here. We'll make it longer here. I think I need a lot more space to do this, but let's look at it this way. So within this, we follow the X pattern. Problem is a lot of these are missing. And the question is, how densely do we store them? You know, it would be easier to just try to store these in some kind of base form. So like, what if we tried that? What would that look like? So what if instead of this, let's make a new layer here. I'm gonna make a new layer on top of everything else. I'm gonna just call it flat. So, or maybe flattened, I don't know. So what happens if we do this? What happens if we take these and we try to flatten them out? As in, so why does this say 0? Oh, that's why. So what's a way we could store these that would work for the other thing? Because this will work for this, but yeah, I'm not sure. Because we need to basically say, take this and store this. I can see a way to do this, but it is not compressed. It is not compact. I think I need to map out the other one to understand what's going on here. I also think I can maybe move these a little closer here. Try to buy myself a little more space. All right, can I do this? Okay, yeah. So I want to try mapping out the other face real quick here. I want to try mapping out the tall walls. I really don't, but I'm unsure about how I handle these spots where there are gaps here. I think we can just achieve this with an additional set of bits. I just want to understand how. This is yet more evidence that suggests that maybe I should be doing this with a shader rather than actually trying to build out the tile set atlases that we need. There is an argument to be made that you should just have a shader that samples the outlines based on some kind of state. Because then you would just need the atlas coordinate thing. And you could handle it more elegantly. It wouldn't be that much different, I guess, at the end of the day. Yeah, the problem is these need to be stored a little separately here. All right, let's just do this. I'm having a hard time thinking through this in advance. So we're gonna get rid of that. Put that there. We're gonna widen this significantly. I think I need to move this all the way over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. I think this extent X thing, I think this is not gonna work the way that I think it does. I would need to make the tile set atlas much bigger to actually properly handle this extent X thing. So I'm gonna just hide this down here for now because I don't think this is terribly relevant. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this. Appreciate the people who are spending their time here with me when I work on this kind of stuff. I know it's like kind of mind-numbing and almost very difficult to parse what I'm even doing. Not that what I'm doing is terribly complicated, but I'm having a hard time expressing it correctly here. Okay, that's 8. That's another 8. Oh man, we really can't catch a break with this thing. I'm just gonna keep this up here. Way over here. This is stuff they don't tell you about when they say game dev is hard. That looks square. I think that's square. Check to be sure. Yep. All right, so let's see about this here. Grab them from here. So what I can do first is do this. Just grab all of this. I'm going to turn the grid on so I can actually see. There we go. I change it though. There we are. I can already tell this is going to be annoying. But let's see what happens when we represent this 4-dimensionally. There might be something, there might be a relationship we discover that unlocks some kind of better way. Yarnold, you'll say you don't understand any of this, but eventually you might explore tile maps and this will all magically click. Hopefully, it'll click, or you'll be like, why? Why did we do it this way? There's an argument to be made to not do this, to do something else. One of the things that we've shown before, which would be like this or this. So we could do something where we represent outlines as like channels or bit fields encoded in color channels. So this has the information about all of the outlines here encoded. It's not actually as bit flags. If it was bit flags, it would be like this, and it's impossible to see. So I like aliased it. I mapped certain color combinations onto that to make it more visible, because this is just totally invisible. So we could do something like this, which I don't like because it's very unintuitive what this means. You'd have a hard time figuring it out, which again, we're trying to make the asset process understandable. This is the way I would like to do it, I think, where you basically make a layer that defines certain outlines. So like here's the upper X, or it's the upper Y of the lower X. Because Y is down for us and X, negative X is going off this way. It's actually, I guess, Z. We have a very weird coordinate system. Let's not get bogged down with whose coordinate system is worse. Mine or Unreal. But yeah, we could mark out the outlines like this. And then we could have like a shader that basically samples from the outline layer and shows them or not. You'd have to like separately store the texture from the outline. Huh. Why does this get darker when I turn the outline on? The whole thing does. I guess I recolored that one. That's not good. Hey, Diginanigans. So like this would be cool because then we just need to define like, we could draw our object and then annotate where the outlines are. And then we could use a shader to do this stuff for us. It would simplify the autotiler significantly, but it would offload a lot of the logic to a shader on the tile map layer. That would then, you'd need to, the tile map layer, instead of setting the tiles directly, it would pass in like, it would pass in a texture or some kind of array or something that's got the specific outline bytes encoded into it. Can I do all of the outlines with a single byte? I forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Six. Yeah, I guess I could. That's becoming tempting to me. I'm tempted to explore that more now that I'm like further along in this path where we're like just building out the tile set atlases ourselves. Well, for now, we'd eventually have a tool that makes this, but I don't love how this is turning out. Oh, the corners. Well, it's easy to tell where the corners are because the corners would just be a combination of other bit flags. There'd be a lot of texture sampling. So the way we would do this with like a layer-based solution be like this. So the way that we would handle this, we'd define it like this, but I want to look at like what the sprite sheet, the final sprite sheet would look like. So we would do this. We'd have a layer that's like it would be like, I'm just going to call it the texture because it's like the underlying texture. You'd put the underlying texture like here, right? And we would get another layer. Why does this one just look better? I think I changed the shades. Yeah, I did. I don't know what I like better. But we'd essentially take this part. We would not have the interior, so it would just be the outline. It'd be like this. And this is like how the sprite sheet that would result from our little layer drawing. So here's like the outline, here's the combination of it, you know. So we would need to build these. I don't know how expensive this would be to do. Is my main concern about this is how much overhead that would be to be passing all of this information to the shader all the time about the state of things. It probably doesn't matter. It would probably be fine. So we take this thing, we take like our layers, and we'd start copying them over. So it would actually be this one first. So this is where it gets kind of hard to follow. You would essentially have textures. I can't keep track of anything. Hey, Nix, how's it going? I don't know how I ended up grabbing the same thing twice. My A-Sprite foo is not very good today. So you can kind of see what's happening. We're like masking. We're essentially masking off where the outlines are. Problem is it's like kind of weird. You wouldn't want to draw this yourself. You'd want to have this be the output from this sort of thing. Use a layer-based system. This is also just one face here. So you'd be sampling things. Oh my god, I'm so bad at this. Shenanigans, there's shader code running regardless if you do any manual shaders or not. From your understanding, compositing textures on top of each other is quite cheap. Yeah, I think you're right. The thing I'd be concerned about, it would be passing in. You're essentially changing the auto tile data from being we set all of the tiles ourselves in the tile map data and then we pass the whole tile map data over. What we'd be doing instead would be sending the outline data over. I guess it would look the same, but it would not be... I guess I'm concerned about how that would work. Like where that sits in memory. I guess I don't care. It's like the likelihood that it's a performance limitation is almost zero. This is almost unintelligible just looking at these like lines here. I need to do something. I need to put like oh, I was supposed to put all these on different layers anyway. I'm gonna make a grid so you can see what's going on. Just existing nicks. Many games are doing sophisticated materials with many different high-res textures and different processing on those textures. Thing you want to be careful of with shaders is causing multiple draw calls. I don't think we'd have that problem. It would be a sampling process. So you'd be like, we would need to have, so we would need a couple other steps here. We would need to have like a normal map here. So we would need to take like this, make a new layer, call it like normal. We need a normal map. Need to be like here. Really horrible. But this would tell the shader like which parts of these belong to which face, you know. This isn't that weird. I'm also using solid colors like RGB just because I'm using the axis of the tile set. Hey RJ. Shouldn't matter for a game like this, but can add up if taken for granted on a complex scene with lots of objects. Yeah, we are going to have dozens of tile map layers, which is not a lot. We could probably have hundreds eventually. Probably will eventually have hundreds of tile map layers, depending on how we do it. So it's a little concerning. So you would need this. This is like so hard to look at. You know, arguably, I don't need to do it this way. This is kind of like what we would do. You need something like this just to tell the system. So it would essentially, it would do like, okay, so we're trying to render an X face. So let's take everything with red channel. So we'll sample this. Every pixel here with red channel, we will take the corresponding pixel here on the texture point. And then what we need to do is we would need to refer to some kind of byte or something for each tile. We need to record for each tile, for each face, like a byte. Which again, we could record this in using color channels again, or we could do it we could record. That's like my temptation to do something like this. So we could also have the same thing, but with this actually solves both problems. This would be a normal map and an outline map at the same time for the purpose of the masking step here. So we could say, oh, we need this part outlined and we need this part outlined, and it would then sample those pieces of the outline and apply those outlines. And so we could use something like that. Yeah, I actually really don't like this one. We could use a lighting normal map there. So we could theoretically do this really simply. We take something like this. Could even do something like this. What are we working on today? I'm having like buyer's regret for the approach I'm taking on the texture atlas stuff, and so I'm just thinking about other things we could do. So you could define a thing like this. We're gonna call this invalid block. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. We could do something like this. So you have the combined one here just for like just so you can see it. You don't actually need this, but you know, whatever. What we would probably actually do is instead of have this, we actually would have some kind of normal mapping thing for lighting. But for right now, this would be fine. And then we have like the texture. So we have the underlying texture, we have the outline, and then we have this thing, which describes to you which pixels, like which pixels in here belong to which faces. That's the color channel stuff. So if it's a red color channel, it belongs to the X face, etc. And then you have the values, the specific values we choose correspond to different outlines. So this gives you complete information about all the different outline combinations that there are in like a single image. And like we could literally use just this. So we're offloading the complexity into the shader along with some kind of structure that we pass through that just tells you, okay, this piece is this piece is in this state. Like look for this shade. Like we want this shade of outline, or we want like both. I actually don't know how we would tell it that we wanted a corner specifically. I'd need 10 values to do it this way. I don't want to do that. That exceeds our budget. It's smart. I don't know if it's smart is the thing about it. It's tempting is what it is. Because I'm getting kind of frustrated with doing it the other way. And when I get frustrated with an approach, I start exploring alternatives. So like, I don't even know how I would structure the thing that we would pass in to the shader. So basically each tile map layer would have some kind of uniform texture or whatever that tells it how each of its tiles should behave. And so we need to be passing that to the shader all the time. And I assume that is going into GPU memory. Whereas if we do it the other way, I don't know if tile map data needs to be pushed to the GPU. Like literally tile underscore map underscore data. I don't know if that needs to be synced. Yeah. And then, yeah, what would we even tell it? We would tell it like, so we wanted to render a corner. The corner can be identified because it's a combination of this value in this value. So it would be the overlapping values, but how would we tell the system that we want a corner piece? Oh my god. Red alert. We're getting raided. We're getting raided. Sorcery Story, how's it going? Red alert. How's the stream? How are you doing? Been working on a lot of art lately. Defend the stream. Exactly, peasant. Hey, Dustin. Diginanigans, you've already hitting that point with how you're doing the UV unwrapping for your tiles. You started trying to build your own Blender Pro plugin. Ooh, wow. Okay. Yeah, how's it going? Welcome in, Raiders. We're here. We're working on like an isometric FTL-like game in Godot. We're working on expanding our autotiler. Hello, hello. They're taking over the chat. I know. Defend the chat. I can tell you. So we've been mostly working on an editor tool for building out these little isometric 2D spaces. They're like 3D ships and they're being rendered in isometric 2D. You're working on art, making new art assets to make new and improved houses. Nice, nice. Yeah, I was watching you a little bit the other day, working on some buildings. Dino Christ, thank you for the follow. So here's the thing we've mainly been working on is this editor tool for building out these 3D block spaces. So we can build this multi-story thing here. We can fill it so that it's like solid. And then we can start carving compartments out of it to make the rooms of our spaceship. So we can carve out some rooms. There's a bunch of systems that kick in when you do that. Like there's a system that can tell that this is now a room. If we cut a hole in the wall, it'll be like, oh, you're no longer a room. And the cutaway system responds to that. The compartmentalization system responds to that. So we compartmentalize based on all this stuff. So this is kind of, we worked really hard on the presentation of how we're communicating the space, because it's kind of a challenge when you're doing this kind of isometric thing. There's a lot of stuff going on here. We've got half wall, cutaways. We can auto tile our doors. Build some doors. So yeah, this is the kind of stuff we're mostly working on right now. Yeah, it feels like it hasn't changed much. We're trying to expand the autotiler, which is causing me endless headaches. Was that a Star Trek sound? Almost certainly.
Logic was impeccable, Captain.
We've got some sounds. I need to add some new ones. So yeah, we're working on this. I can talk about the thing we're struggling with now that I've done my little tech demo. Talk about it a little before the ads go. Yeah, Dino Christ. Well, if you got a raid and run, thanks Sorcery Story. If you can hang out, that's great. Appreciate the raid. So we've been exploring different ways of changing how the autotiler works. My problem is that, so here's the old autotile, like an old example of an autotiled shape. So this is how the autotiler, this is the current format that we use. It's pretty limited. Don't mind the empty space. I thought I was going to expand it a lot more than I did. So this can only handle certain cases. It's pretty limited. I wanted to expand it to this, which is much bigger and much more complicated and can handle many more cases. Problem is, I'm having a hard time with it. because our autotiler thinks about things one way, and I'm trying to map them onto this, and I'm having a hard time. But so we've been thinking about today. We've been kind of thinking about, well, what about a different way we do this, where instead of explicitly laying this out, we create a more dense asset, something like this that has a bunch of data encoded into like a normal map here, and we use a shader to like sample pieces of the outline. That kind of works, but only if there's no differences between the textures. If there is a difference between the texture, this, like if a texture changes just because it's at the edge of something, that this system falls apart. I've been working on this big mapping to kind of describe the problem here, which is that here's a bunch of my tiles. These are the tiles that belong to the side of a floor piece. So they're these little short pieces along the side. And these are their indexes in the tile set atlas I was showing. So I initially tried representing all of this with a two-dimensional structure here. So like all of those tiles are that I was just showing is like in this. But the problem is this doesn't work correctly. So I've switched to a four-dimensional structure, and I can explain. You think you get it? Yeah, it's like, I feel like I'm not having a problem with the principle. I'm having a problem with executing it satisfyingly. So this is the other mapping. So this is like, here's the XY position for all these base tiles. These are all the base tiles. The ones with corners, you have this issue where you need to have versions that with the corners and versions without the corners. And that's where I'm using these additional axes. So if we take this tile, 46, this one has all of the sides removed, but all of the corners in place. So I'm using XY to represent side removal. So X handles these vertical lines and Y handles these horizontal lines. And then I'm using Z and W to represent the corners. So if we go to 46, which is at 3,3, you see this. And so now we have ZW. And we use these to represent the corner removals. And it's so our autotiler can calculate each coordinate independently and then arrive at a final combination that maps to a valid tile. But I'm having a hard time representing this in a way that maps cleanly onto this big old boy here. I'm kind of not pleased. I'm especially not pleased with these, the big full walls. The small walls and the floors and stuff, this is easy. This maps actually really cleanly. I'm actually using a Minecraft mod as far as my organizing principle. There's this, like, this is an outline of all the sides and stuff. And yeah, I need to, so what I'm doing right now is just working out the same way that I've worked out all the mappings for these pieces. I need to work out the mappings for the other pieces, for the bigger pieces, which are more complicated. So that's kind of just what I've been working on. It's kind of incredible how much work is involved in making a small change, not a small change, but for what I would consider a slight gain, because we're only handling what I would consider a small set of additional edge cases, and it's a lot of work. But we're in ads, so I guess I'll just hang on a sec here. Diginanigans. There is things automatically built into Blender to automatically map UVs, but not in the way you want, which will make it harder to do different textures for tiles. Yeah, that's always the problem. They do it, just not the way you want. But yeah, hopefully we can wrap this up and get back to working on some more interesting stuff soon. We have some really exciting stuff we want to work on. I've thought of an intermediate short project that I can build using my existing tools, and I'm kind of excited about the idea of doing it. Yeah, this won't work, will it? The reason why I'm leaning towards just doing it this way is because if these textures are different based on the outline, we're ultimately going to arrive at something like this no matter what. But what I need to do is I need to figure out how to map onto these, the places where there are gaps, I actually think maybe I just need a different mapping altogether for these specifically. Let's see. Let's see what we can do. But yeah, I'm going to work on this. This is how I work through problems. I diagram. Hope you find a solution. Yeah, I think we will. This is definitely not the most exciting thing to work on, but at least once it's done, it's done. I'm trying to do this in a way that's understandable. So if a modder comes in and they're like, I want to make a new texture atlas and I need to understand how the format is, I want to have resources, or even just for me to understand how it works. But that's the thing I'm working on. Yarnold, with your indicator problem solved, you got to make something fun like missiles next, or you might lose motivation. Yeah, that's key. I'm running into some of that myself right now. In my free time, I've been working on a ship layout. I would like to start doing some of that stuff on stream, some more exciting stuff. You have to go? No worries. Yeah, take care. Yeah, thank you for the raid. Thank you, raiders, for hanging out here. We try to be a chill place to work, hang out. But yeah, I'll catch you again soon. All right, so now we got to fill this thing in with outlines. Let's do it. Behave. Yeah, you heard her. Everyone in chat. All right, so we're going to start working through this principally so that we can make sure we're following this up. So we're going to start with this, which I call the X extent. So this is the simplest thing we're iterating. We're swapping out these lower X. I call them lower X because it's along the negative X axis. So we need to swap these out first. I actually really don't like the fact that I have to do this. I would love to find an alternative to this. But we can't because of the half walls. You're here to behave and create off by one errors. Nice. Thanks, Dustin. Someone's got to do it. All right, so now we're going to iterate this, right? So you'll notice this pattern of these four doesn't change. So now we remove the lower of the upper X. It's so confusing. I need to come up with a better way to refer to these. So we remove these, and then we iterate through all the others. So these are in groups of 4 at the moment. The problem is they don't always stay in groups of 4. And that's maybe where the conundrum lies for approaching it this way. Diginanigans, that's why you want to start getting a simple test battle set up before you start fleshing out other things too much. You just want to build your tiles, create a test level with some basic units and battle logic. Once to that point, you can at least iterate and see what works and what doesn't a lot easier. Yeah, I want to move on to the simulation layer. I want to have little characters running around and oxygen circulating and power moving between different points. I want to do a lot of that. I want to do that now. I don't want to be working on this, but our principle is that we finish a system and then we move on. We've decided there's some more features. We can look at our little roadmap. Oh, what's new in 1.9? Oh, I can make a database? Oh, I'm going to read more about that later. Roadmap. No, not the road. Oh, I wanted to read more about 1.9. Yeah, there we go. Task board. Let's look at the tile block editor task board. Why is this? Oh, that's a folder. So yeah, we're working on the new tile atlas format so that we can auto tile invalid blocks, among other things. We got to do the raycast cursor input. We got to make resizable block buffers. We got to do all of this plus some of this, at least these, maybe this one. But yeah, we got some tasks left. We don't need to do all of these. I might skip like, oops. Might skip like these ones. But I want to get most of these tasks done before we move on beyond the tile block editor. But roadmap wise, after we're done with the tile block editor, we really would like to move on to the shipboard simulation. I actually think the scenario editor applies here. I want to get working on Lo-Fi Flyby. I'm excited about that little side project. But we'll keep it mysterious for now until we can do more. I actually need to decide how I'm going to approach the development of that. But anyway, we need to do this, and then maybe this. For a second, you thought I said not included when I said oxygen. Hey, Profits TV. How's it going? All right. So we're going to continue iterating. So we've got this basic pattern of remove this outline, remove this outline, remove both outlines. And then we've got that next block, all of which have this outline removed, and we're just going to keep on rolling through this pattern here. So we've got the next set here. So you can already see we have a pattern within X, and it's this lower X extent, which is this basic 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 0, 1, 2, 3. And we just repeat this pattern for every group of 4. The thing that is troublesome for me is we're going to start running into places where there are gaps, and we have to decide how to represent those gaps in the texture set atlas. Because these don't have gaps because they're simple. These ones have gaps. So maybe I need a new organization that doesn't involve gaps. I don't know. We have to figure out what we want to do for this mapping. I'm not happy with the way it currently works. How's the dev going? It's all right. I did a short demo. I'll show it again real quick. We're working on a tile set editor tool for an FTL-like style game that we're making that's isometric 2D. So it's these 3D spaces that we're rendering in 2D. Digitanings, you don't have the discipline for that, for like developing one feature until it's done. Yeah, I would say I don't either, but I'm sticking with it, so maybe I do. So we're working on this tool that we're going to use for a number of projects that are related. And it's this isometric 3D editor system, so we can build these. This is the exact same demo I just gave the raiders, but we'll do it quick. We can hollow out these spaces and create these interior spaces. I kind of do this automatically now because this is like the way I just do these. I always make the same shape. I should probably test different shapes because, you know, I'll figure something out. But yeah, we have a lot of systems. We have a cutaway system. We have a compartmentalization system. We have an auto tiler because we're not specifying how these things render. We're just specifying the structure, and then the tile system figures out how to render everything, which is why we can do things like auto tile doors. So there are some issues with the auto tiler that we're trying to address, like missing outlines, which is hard to see. If I do this, you might be able to see it. So there's a number of flaws with the outline. You can see here, if you look down here at the center, at this base here, you can see when I turn this into a half wall, some of the outlines disappear. And there's just gaps there in the understanding of the auto tiler. I kind of don't know if I care enough. I'm kind of tempted to try simplifying it further. Like, I would love it if we could do this with a limited mapping. Like, do I absolutely need some of this stuff? I think arguably the answer is no. Thanks. Yeah, I think I need to do a little, because the auto tiler is pretty much fine, and this additional functionality I want to add is like turning into a whole mess. Part of it is accommodating these half wall cutaways, and it's like, how do we want to render the full wall when it's in the presence of a half wall? And it like mostly works okay. There's some weird cases where you might need other behavior. So like if we do, let's go up here and let's make some room so I can try to demo some of the flaws I see in the current auto tiler. So if we do something like this, let's say we make a shape like this, which I actually kind of want to make illegal. Like a shape like this, like a 2x2. You can do stuff like this. And this is where you start to see problems a little bit. I'm realizing, though, that you don't actually need... I don't think you ever need a certain thing here that I've got. I think we could maybe eliminate one of these variations. Just trying to make sure that that's true before I do anything stupid. So we need to be able to remove the lower half of the outline and leave the upper half. Like, we have to be able to do that. I don't know if we ever need to render just the lower section of it. What if I did something like removed the floor? No, I actually don't think we ever need one of these paths. Maybe I could bounce. Maybe I could remove one of these. The complexity is because we're redrawing the outline based on the cutaway, which arguably you don't need to do, but I like it for aesthetic reasons. So I would like to continue to do it. Yeah, so we actually don't need... I'm overcomplicating this. We actually don't need this part. This thing here that I'm saying here, we actually don't need this. One. We could actually get rid of this. Like, we could just not include this. Like, we don't need that one. Because that will never happen. However, I don't know if that actually improves our situation much. In fact, it actually helps to have this as the other thing. Yeah, that doesn't seem to improve our situation very much. Yeah, that doesn't actually reduce the complexity, because what we were doing before was 3 was just a combination of 1 and 2. And if we get rid of 1, then 3 is just a separate state from 2. But I guess it's good to remove complexity that we don't need. Ooh, that actually reduces the number of corner cases as well. Right? Is that true? No, not really. Well, sort of. So what if we redid this to represent that? So it wouldn't need to be this long anymore. So we could get rid of this. Move this over. Did I finish this first row? I didn't. Let's finish it first. Sorry, we're kind of in like an exploratory phase here. Is there a world in which you would need to do the thing that I'm talking about? Is there any world in which you only need to render the lower portion of an outline? I need to think about this a little. Because we only outline around non-homogeneous surfaces. So only when there's a material difference between two surfaces. Because I would hate to do this whole thing and then realize I actually did need that. Which is kind of the story of my life here. The only reason we need to do this is because of the half-wall cutaway, which I don't want to get rid of. I like the half-wall cutaway a lot. I like it a lot better than the full-wall cutaway, because the full-wall cutaway gives you very little information about where things are. I could also just make this shape illegal. I've been tempted to do that. I'm tempted to outlaw double walls, because I feel like double thick walls just aren't interesting. All it will do is it would tempt me or other people to just make thicker walled ships. And this isn't the kind of simulation. It's not like Cosmeteer where that would like affect your like thrust. So the only reason we actually need to include that is, well, hold on. I need to think about selections, because selections are actually probably the one case where we care about stuff like this. So what if I select a bunch of stuff? I think we can live with this. I don't know why this isn't engaging the half wall. There's nothing wrong with thick ships. No, but it's like breaching a wall and like exposing a ship to outer space and stuff, like hull breaches are like an interesting mechanic in a game like this. And I feel like a double thick wall just removes a lot of that interest. So if I make a 2x2 wall illegal, like if I make that just an invalid pattern, that solves a lot of my autotiler problems. That's like the only reason we're having to handle a lot of these cases. I really want to get rid of the half wall outline. I'm just not 100% sure that I can. But maybe I can. I think I can. I think I can do it. Which, if I can, that solves our problem. Let's see if that's true. If I can, that solves the entire problem at once. You know, sometimes the easiest way to solve a problem is to just get rid of the problem. Just eliminate the problem. Just exist in a world where the problem is not. I think there's a strong argument to be made for that. In which case, this all becomes much simpler. I'm actually going to do this by hand, because it's easier to do by hand. I think this could be good for us here. Boy. Does removing the ability to place double thick walls introduce a lot more complexity to the autotiler? Removing the ability. No, it would simplify it. Removing double thick walls simplify it because, and it's mainly because of this. This is easy to demo. Assuming I don't just close all of my programs. The issue that we're mostly concerned about is this. I can just do this with one room. So we make one room. Oh, that was weird. That shouldn't have happened. Huh. Oh, this is a jam. Oh, of course I've already upvoted it. So watch what happens if I make a double wall. Just any 2x2 structure. Now we have this thing where we have half walls butting up against full walls. And this is where the complexity is. So now I have to be able to handle these like half wall outlines. Admittedly, just the top half, but I do need to handle them. However, if we don't have double thick walls, if we just don't allow double thick walls, if the system finds any 2x2 wall structure, it just says nah. If we do that, then the remaining problems, like you're talking about junctures, or junctions, if you prefer. The junctions don't have this problem because of draw order. So you don't actually need to render a half wall outline because you can't see behind the half wall. So you don't need to know that there's no outline there. And in fact, it would draw the outline anyway because it's a corner. So yeah, we solve this problem by limiting the possibility space. That seems reasonable to me, right? You would need to differentiate between wall segments, one thick going in any particular axis, or junctions where multiple walls meet, etc. Well, any junction like this would be fine. If it spots something like this, anytime, all it needs to do is look out for a 2x2 segment. So a 2x2 segment would be illegal. everything else should be fine. Right, but the complexity is about the validation, not the rendering. Oh, you're talking about introducing complexity to the autotiler in terms of analyzing the space? I guess. I actually don't think that would be handled by the autotiler. That would be handled by the edit system, and that would be done at edit time. So it would just be a check that you make during construction. It would just check every... It would just look for every bulk, and it would say, I'm a bulk. Do I have... For any like vector 2 like direction, do I have one at x, y, and xy, right? It would just do those checks. It would just check every quadrant and say, do I have a piece on my left, a piece on my right, and a piece diagonally in front of me, right? And if it identifies any of that, we would just switch to some kind of overlay. We'd have like a, you're not allowed to do that. Or we literally prevent people from placing blocks down. I don't love that as much. I think I would rather just saying, like, you can't save this, or not you can't save this, but you can't deploy this. No, but that's a good point, Diginanigans. I would rather have the complexity at edit time than have the complexity in the renderer. Because at least when the editor is done, the editor is done. We're done editing, and we can forget about it. No, this is huge. If this works, this is huge, because I was talking about this earlier, but if you look at... So here's the X map, quote-unquote X map. So this is an array of all the vector 4s. The vector 4s here are the atlas, not the atlas cores. I need to come up with a new term. These are the coordinates that the autotiler uses to identify. So an autotiler will say, oh, hey, this face is at 3310. And we need to convert that to an index, which is the index in the texture tile set atlas. And so I've set this up here as an array because this is the easiest way to record it. And what's cool is instead of making a dictionary where like the key is, instead of using this to build a dictionary where the key is this autotile coordinate and the value is the index in this array, instead I could just, because this is a vector 4 whose component values are limited to between 0 and 3, I can represent each of these vector 4s with a single byte. So we could just set, instead of having to make dictionaries, we could just have arrays. This could be cool. And then we could record these texture map atlas formats in a buffer. We don't have to have like them be like dictionaries on the tile system or something. I don't know. That's a stupid reason to do this, but I like it. And that's a tempting reason to use this simplified representation. The same representation here. And in fact, I don't actually need to redo this mapping, but I'm gonna do it. I don't know. I'm excited because I've been looking for a solution to this for a while, and I've been unhappy with most of the solutions. So this feels a little bit like a retreat in terms of features, but I actually think we can get away with it. And honestly, I feel like that's a lot of game dev, especially solo game dev, is like, what do I absolutely have to do, and what can I get away with? I actually am not going to probably redraw this. Maybe I will. We can get rid of this extent X thing. I actually think, yeah, I think we're not doing this. Dustin, your metric is what do you have to add? Because if you don't, it'll drive you crazy during development. Yeah. And that's honestly, I think that's a reasonable metric. I think the problem is that you might end up where I'm at, where we've been working on this tool for like most of the year. All of the year. We spent the whole year on it so far. And you'll keep adding features because you're like, oh man, it would be really nice. I really want to have this feature because the quality of life will just be so much better. So I feel like that can lead to like tools development hell, but I still agree with it because it's what we do. We are of one mind on this. Don't think about how long it's been, Dave. Well, we are 1 month away from episode 256, which is anytime we hit a Power of Two episode, we go back and we look at what we were doing during our last Power of Two episode. So it'll be really interesting. It'll be really interesting to go back and see what we were working on episode 128. I'm very concerned that it's just going to be more tile block editor stuff. But I'm also very excited to see what we're going to be working on episode 512, you know? When we look back on this and we're going to be like, oh, we were in such tools development hell. But now we're not. Now we're in episode 512. And, you know, we are working on all sorts of other stuff. That'd be great. I would love to get there. Your console app for managing your RPGs, NPC dialogues, quests list is getting beefy. Your console app. Oh, do you mean console as in like a developer console? Like I hit the tilde and like brings up this like dev tool thing? Because yeah, that's sick. And I could see that getting out of control really quickly. But you need that because like how are you going to manage an RPG dialogues quest system? That's basically a hypertext, right? C# console app command line tool. Oh, cool. But yeah, managing a dialogue quest list, that is essentially a hypertext, and that does not seem fun to manage without significant tooling. Diginanigans, love it, sounds good. Always great when you find something that sparks joy to continue working on it too. For me, it's the cuts. We're just like, whoa, just like karate chop this thing in half here. Actually, it's more than half. It's a lot. So we're gonna rebuild this. We're gonna rebuild this, and we're gonna do it in a second here. We might reorganize some of this. I kind of want to reorganize this so that it's always being stored. 32 by 32. We're storing this one in 30 by 30. I honestly might make a new file just so that we have this for now in the background here. But let's clean this up. Let's go back here. Let's finish this. I don't actually want to do this. But I should. You're building it as a big C# class hierarchy. You just write it out as a JSON file, then the game rebuilds it from the JSON file. At least that part is easy. Oh, that's super cool. Yeah, we're also C# doing everything in C# here. We've split. I don't know if you're using Godot or something else, but we've split our whole game simulation layer off into this separate C# world. So we've split the simulation layer, and Godot is really just handling rendering and UI stuff, and we're just pushing stuff back that needs to be pushed over there. Everything else we're using this custom entity component system I wrote, which don't write an entity component system in C# is the first lesson I learned. But it's been nice to have now that we've got it. We're doing fun stuff with it. It's really nice because it means our simulation elements don't have to be nodes or whatever. At some point, you want to public post it to GitHub for anyone else building an RPG. That would be really nice. Diginanigans, that's one of the things that's on your list of tooling in the pipeline is handling various quests and dialogues based on tags and triggers. Oh, yeah. Since the actual quests are somewhat procedural, you need to make sure the various permutations of things don't make everything fall apart. Yeah, I will be concerned about that as well. I don't know how procedural the quests are going to be, but or the missions. We're using like a mission structure, right? Like, I don't know how I want to do it. I don't know if I want to hard write like the whole quote unquote episode, or if I want to do it like Star Trek style, where there's like an A story and a B story and maybe a C story. And like maybe, and obviously you hand write each individual story to an extent. But it would be interesting to see like how those stories interact if you've got like this A story and then you've got like a C story going on as well. Whether you need those, like how much management you need to control that. I shouldn't bother redoing this whole set of diagrams, but I think I might. Partly because I'm a little tired and I enjoy diagramming when I'm tired. Is there a way to... I have a different storage structure for Y maps compared to X maps, and I really don't want to. I wonder if I can simplify that. I guess it doesn't matter. We'll see. Let's finish this, and then let's see how we want to pack this. I'm tempted to still use the packing that I've already figured out. What? Oh, I jumped the gun on this. I didn't finish the thing before I started copying it over. Gotta finish what you started, Dave. All right. Yeah, you're right about my motivation kicking back up significantly. I was starting to ebb a bit, but that motivation is flowing now. Now that I've decided to cut this, to cut some of that added complexity that I don't think we need. It's pretty invigorating because I was getting kind of tired and dissuaded. I've been working on this every night, trying to like figure out what the solution is off stream so that I could come back on stream and have some idea of what I'm doing. And this helps. This helps a lot. I wonder if I should do this differently. No, it has to be like this. There's still a question about how to organize it on the tileset atlas. All right, thank you for the dino dance, Dustin. Appreciate it. So are you working on a tool just because you enjoy it? Or I assume you've got a game going that this tool is ostensibly for. You're just like me and you've gotten like carried away in the tool development. Arneo, you got to learn to let go. Yeah, that's the thing people tell you, is that like subtractive design is like where you end up, especially if you're under a lot of constraints. Like it's almost superior, right? Like it's better to be able to do something by removing things than it is by adding. It's always clunkier to like add something to achieve a design goal. It's way better if you can just remove something. It's both easier and it tends to be more elegant too. All right, so here are all our base tiles along the XY. I'm trying to write this document as kind of a guide to how this format's going to work. So I'm kind of being a little overzealous as far as describing it. And I think that's okay. I'm actually going to move this part down a little here. Shenanigans, at least at this point in time, your plan is for each campaign to have a main story and 3 secondary stories. Then there will be individual smaller things that intertwine with them. Cool. Each new game, not party dying, but whole new game, picks a new set of stories. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, I'm going to try to do a thing where your crew is going to be kind of procedurally generated, but they'll have certain roles or archetypes, right? And so I can write stories around those archetypes or backgrounds or something like that. So for a character, it might make sense to like have this B story or C story, or to have this relationship with another character or something like that. And it'll be interesting to see how that works combinatorically and how that works with the procedural generation. Dustin, your main project is a fantasy party-based dungeon grid crawler, like old school Wizardry or Bard's Tale. Oh, super cool. What's the aesthetic? Is it like that first person view, like the old school, like Elder Scrolls, Bard's Tale style? Bard's Tale was first person, right? Wasn't it? I'm not the biggest expert, but I feel like I've played that game. Oh no, that was a grid. It's a third person, kind of grid based kind of thing. Oh, I don't remember anymore. I'm mixing the Bard's Tale up with something else. If I had a nickel for every RPG game that has the word Bard in it, I'd have some, I probably have less than $1. But I'd still get confused. Oh, okay, so I think it used to be more of the, I think I'm looking at various Bard's Tale games that each one did something different aesthetically. Yeah, first person grid dungeon crawling. Yeah, okay, cool. I should have just read your, I started going into like Google and like Wikipedia, and I'm like, I'm seeing a lot. That's really cool. It sounds like you're a big programmer. Are you doing the art as well, or do you have like collaborators or assets that you've pulled or something? All right. Let's do this and flip the sides here. I kind of want to come up with a mapping that is not face specific, but I guess it's fine. Like, I don't necessarily want the mapping to change whether it's X or Y face, but you have a different mapping for the Z face, so why not also have a different mapping for the X and Y faces? It's not like I'm saving anything. This is already a huge saving in terms of complexity that we've achieved here. All right, I think I need to open this in. Actually, I think I might just need the numbers from this. Actually, just might need the numbers. Let's get rid of this flattened layer. Let's make a new layer in the background called nums. Let's go grab our numbers from something. These ones are too big. And these numbers are too big. These numbers are too small. These numbers are just right. Yeah, I actually want single size numbers. Do I have those anywhere? Kind of. I can pull them from here. Let's grab the first 10 at least. Stick them over here or something. Dustin, developer art for now. Someday you'll find artists to reskin the whole mess. That's not a bad approach. It's not a bad approach. Get the game first. I've run into issues when I've had art and I've been sourcing the art while working on the game. That hurts if you have to pay someone to redo the art. So yeah, there is a lot of wisdom in waiting. Arneo, grid and first person is an interesting combination you haven't played yet. Is the grid right in front of you kind of representing the distance where things are? Can things be behind you and you'll have to turn around? Typically, I think that's one of the most traditional old school RPG representations. Like the original Elder Scrolls games, I think, did that. Although, no, the original Elder Scrolls wasn't grid-based, but Bard's Tale was. But it was still that presentation. Bard's Tale 1. That might be too old. When did they start actually representing a grid? Oh no, I guess they've always had a grid. It's just a question of whether it's explicitly shown to you. Dustin, you're hoping to push the art into a mod pack, allowing the artist to just replace the files in the folder, relaunch to see their changes in the game. That is exactly what I want to do as well. I think that is a great approach, and I would like to do something similar. Let's pick a color here. Our music became all jazzy all of a sudden, and I'm not mad. All right, here's our numbers. Although I think maybe it was a mistake to put a matte color underneath them. I'm gonna put them nearby so I can use them without having to go get them. Put them over here for now. Although, can I just... No, I cannot. Well, actually... Oh, no, I can't because these aren't on this different layers. Well, maybe I can do it. Maybe it would be good enough to just do it like this. We'll see. Just grab them like this. No, I should do it like this. I arguably shouldn't worry about this right now. But we're doing it anyway. I feel like that would be the most fun way for an artist to work on a project. Yeah, I'm thinking about it in terms of like actual mod support too, right? Yeah, I like the principle where you just treat the official game art as just a special kind of mod. I really dig that. What do I want to do? I want to change the grid a little bit. 16. And get rid of the offset. Yeah, there we go. Hold on. It's a little weird now. Is that how I do it here? Are you lower than you are tall? Yeah, you are. Okay. Be wild to see someone reskin the whole game after release. That would be super cool. That would be like a major. That'd be very cool. 4, 5, 7. That's kind of what I'm counting on in terms of content in the long term. Because like I can write stuff, I can program stuff. I can draw a little. Like, this is my pixel art, which I'm very beginner at it, but I'm enjoying it a lot, and I would like to spend a lot more time on it. I like making pixel art a lot more than I thought I would, and I really enjoy this low-res style. I think I might need to give them hair going forward, but otherwise I'm really enjoying this style. There's a reason these guys don't have hair. But we don't need to get into that. But yeah, what I was trying to say is, like, if you're a solo dev, you're ultimately always going to be limited in terms of the amount of content that you can produce. I need to copy this over to the other layer. I'm getting sick of transferring these back and forth between layers. You know what I've been playing again, which I'm really enjoying, is a Hard Space Shipbreaker. I was originally playing it on Game Pass, but it left Game Pass, and I didn't finish it, so I've gone back to play it. It is so good, and it nails that like space cowboy aesthetic so well. I've been thinking about our little lo-fi flyby little side project, and I've been watching a lot of Firefly, and now I'm playing a lot of Hard Space Shipbreaker, and I'm like, this is a good aesthetic. It's also very much like the Terran StarCraft aesthetic. This is a weird space cowboy kind of thing. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, Hard Space Shipbreaker is a really good game. I thought it was going to be my wind down game, but it's kind of stressful, actually. Just because of how touchy the controls are and how you're like flying and like unrestricted along with you can roll, which is is roll the right word? Yeah, roll. Which is unusual in a 3D game to have like complete freedom of movement. But it's really good. Highly recommend. It's on sale right now, I think. It's a really good game. So the only difference between the X map and the Y map is that we flip the interior pieces a little bit. I guess that's okay. Oop. But yeah, I think I'm going to play that later. Gotta work off my debt to the ultra late stage capitalist overlords. Okay, I'm starting to get the hang of how this arrangement works. Make sure I got it right. Yep. So far, so good. I can actually steal a bunch of these. All right, we're heading back into ads, but no worries. We're just going to be chilling. Appreciate everyone hanging out today. I know we've been working on some pretty boring stuff, but I really appreciate it. I appreciate you choosing to spend your time here. My eyes are also burning with just how bright this screen is, but... Hey, Fusionist, how's it going? How are you doing today? We're pretty jazzed. We've kind of been reinvigorated today. We got a raid from Sorcery Story, which is great, which I never gave the shout out for. We're about to hop into ads, so I'll try to chill here. You're very tired. You're doing good. Nice. We'll pick this up when the ad break is over. Drink some water. But yeah, we had a big breakthrough with the way we're going to be storing this stuff here. I might pause on doing the rest of this diagram and actually try to get into the actual work. So I realize this is kind of stupid. I just keep thinking about what possible problems there might be that I haven't anticipated. But the best way to do that is to actually just get into it. I'll finish this later. I do want to finish it though. So I want to show how all the different tile types map. But yeah, let's work on the actual auto tile thing. Let's make a new file. I don't know how big this file is going to need to be. Let's just make it big. And let's save it to the project here. I like having diagrams. I just like having them. Grid tile set, we're going to say environment tile set. We'll call this default format. Probably should call this something else, but maybe not. Just call it default format, and what we're gonna do, we'll probably put stuff on different layers because that's a good idea. We'll keep using this weird little pink background color. I kind of like it. It's kind of grown on me. All right, we're back. We're doing great, Fusionist. We've made some pretty great breakthrough on how we want to handle the autotiler. We decided to cut down the simplicity or cut down the complexity significantly. We've decided to remove support for these upper and lower outlines because we realized we don't actually need it, and we can actually foreclose the circumstance in which this would be needed by just disallowing a certain wall shape in the autotiler, or not in the autotiler, in the editor. We made a huge cut because we were kind of dying. Where's the other actual file here? All cube, there it is. This was killing us. Just the scope of like the full wall autotiling. So we are massively simplifying it. So we can continue to use this stuff. How do I want to organize this? So I think the interior template and outline template is good. So we'll call this interior template. Outline template. Yeah, we made a huge cut to the amount of cases we're trying to support, and it's going to make it really easy to handle this new format. So let's grab these. I think we'll continue to use this format because I kind of like it, and it's kind of easy. Maybe we'll call this the half wall template layer or half bulk. I don't know. Maybe this is fine. Let's get this stuff in here. We'll probably move stuff around, maybe. So wait, if we do it this way, what do we need? We need enough room for 2 of these. How wide is this? This is 192. And what's 192 times 2? 384. What's 512 minus 384? 128. Oh, that might be perfect. In which case we want to... So these are 16, 32... What's the size of these? 8, 6, they are 16. Okay, 16, 32, 64, 128. So I need to leave 8 spots on the side here. Do that. Go back, grab the outlines. I guess I should make this like a lighter color like this. I kind of don't like having to look at that, but... Oh, that's too bright. What is this? That's also too bright. That blends in too much. I guess the color we had was good. I don't know what color it is. Oh, we don't actually have it here. Hi, Still Needs Work. How's it going? Happy Wednesday. All right, let's go get the outline. So we actually don't need to map it like this now. We can actually just go here and use the full thing. I need to make the grid. Oh no, I don't need to make the grid. I can just grab it myself. Take this. Just fit this right on the end. This is gonna be great. Oh, should probably put it in the right layer though. Should I split these? Yeah, I probably should. I'm gonna call this half bulk interior. Oh. Half bulk X maybe. Be X first. X half bulk interior. Make a new layer. We can call it Z bulk interior. Look at me, I'm using layers. Oh, I just named it this. All right, let's get the outline. Let's see. Question of how many Z levels or Z layers we need to store. Because they're pretty much all the same. But still, probably good to just be straightforward here. Oop, that was a mistake. There we go. How are you doing today? We're great. We are invigorated. We have been dealing with a lot of problems with our new texture Atlas format, and we've just decided to make a pretty major cut that wildly simplifies the problem and actually gets us back on track to doing the rest of this in a reasonable amount of time. All right, the question is, how long is this thing going to be? And how do I want to order it? Let's make a new layer. We'll call this X full bulk interior. I probably will eventually make this like black and white, but it's very unpleasant to look at that, so I'm not going to do it right now. Make another new layer. X full bulk outline. Should probably put full and half after bulk. It's kind of weird to talk that way, but I tend to like to put differentiators. Like I like to nest differentiators in a way that where like bulk should be first before you start distinguishing between the different kinds of bulk. All right, so let's grab the full thing. I think we have to kind of make this. I don't think we have this pattern ready to go here. Let's just grab... How many did we say we need? 12? Just grab 12 of these. This is not the right file. This one. Here we go. Oh yeah, I want to make sure I'm doing this like this. I'm spacing it a little more. That was the wrong layer. Because of course it was. Let's grab some outlines. We need to grab the same outline pattern that we have here, which is going to be a little tricky. I honestly might just draw it. It'd probably be easier to draw. How's everyone doing? All right, so we're drawing this in a particular pattern. We're observing a certain order. And it's kind of a silly order, but it kind of gives us a certain aesthetic. You can kind of see the pattern here where we draw like a big square. And we draw like littler rectangles, and then we start clustering the corners. And we can follow that pattern pretty much for whatever. We will need to replace the interior. Hey, Matthew Sparks! We're actually finally making some real headway on our new tile set atlases after kind of agonizing over it for a long time. We've decided to make some cuts to it, and it's kind of unblocked us in a huge way, which feels great. I felt like I was spinning my wheels for a long time. And I kept thinking I had a solution and then realizing some kind of core problem and having to start over, and that's never good. I mean, it's good, but it's never fun. How are you doing? All right, so we got that. Now we need to do these two pieces that look like this. There we go. And this one. Not comfortable to do. I should probably get my tablet out is what I should do if I'm going to be drawing this. I'm just going to switch to my vertical mouse and hope that's enough of a difference ergonomically here. All right. Corners facing down left. I know this is like probably hard to parse, but I swear this makes sense. Corners facing upper left. Right side only. What is the logic here? I don't understand the logic for this section, but... Oh, no, I see it now. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. I see it. Grab this interior, extend it down. And I should actually probably just do all that right now. It's 4 layers with one with the last piece missing. All right, so 2 of them together. Excuse me. $256. Okay, this is going to be much smaller than the other one. The other one, this thing is 1024 by 256. This one should just be 512 by 256, which is great. It's half the size. It's a lot more understandable. Fusionist, you've been playing some Factorio lately. You love the best way to cleave forests is grenades. Isn't that funny? Flamethrowers, flame turrets are also pretty good. Actually, they're not. They're not good because they leave the charred tree and you have to clean it up. But it looks cool. I love when I've built a nice flame turret line along a forest and the bugs like start pouring out of the forest and then the whole thing burns. I mean, it's horrible, but in that, you know, it's horrible in that I love the smell of napalm in the morning kind of way. All right, let's finish this. Yeah, I've been dipping into Factorio a little lately. I'm having a hard time sticking with it because I think it's just what I'm working on. I hop in and I'm like, I don't feel like building a whole factory because I'm like, I feel like that's what I do during the day, you know? So I was saying I've been playing a lot of Hard Space Shipbreaker, which is really good, really cool. Really good vibes. Well, it's maybe not good, but it's fun. It's fun. It takes place in a late stage capitalist dystopia, but the game feels great. Yeah, remember that one? You kind of feel that way as well. But doing it in smaller tasks works for you. Yeah. Yeah, that's what last time I hopped in, I just like built a perimeter wall somewhere and I was like, and like ran power out there and I was like, that's fine. And the next thing I got to do is scout out some locations for some smelters. I kind of play a funny variation of the game. I play like a very like a rail world, death world kind of thing. So taking territory is like kind of a battle. It's usually very low evolution. So like there's a lot of bugs at very low levels. So like they're easy to kill, but there's like many of them. It's a very custom world and it's fun, but I have this kind of self-imposed rule where it's like if I have a mine somewhere and I want to process the things from the mine, I got to go build a smelter like far away from the mine just because I'm trying to maximize the amount of like train traffic I have. So it's interesting. It's definitely a weird thing to be doing, but I enjoy it. It's very much a game where you kind of find your fun. It's not Space Age. I'm excited to play Space Age eventually, but I'm not there yet. That seems like that would truly be a little much for me right now. But I'm enjoying my little version of the game. I don't love that the developers kind of offloaded the effort involved in coming up with a fun scenario to like the player, but I like that the option's there. And I've been playing it long enough now where I'm like pretty good at generating maps and stuff. It could have been nice if they had a few more pre-built settings. Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like you have to figure out what you like and what you don't like pretty quickly, and you have a bad time while you're figuring that out. Because yeah, the thing that's fun for me is all the logistics of like moving resources around and like managing all that stuff. The I want a high like base consumption level for all my resources. Like I'm spending a lot of resources on like defense and like just moving things around and like it's kind of fun. It's definitely inefficient, but you know, if I was efficient, I wouldn't have time to play Factorio, you know? I'd be too busy being efficient. As weird as it sounds, it definitely helps players feel more validated with their playstyle. Yeah, I think that might be true. When I do play Space Age, I'm definitely going to play the whole game default, and it's going to be a super weird feeling because I've never played Space Age, so I don't know how you should generate a Space Age map, and it's going to be weird going back to that. And it's going to feel super weird playing just like the quote-unquote standard experience. I say standard, obviously we'll have Space Age, but like when I'm on the original planet and I'm like making my way up to space, it's gonna feel weird. I'll probably feel like I'm speed running or something. Because I usually have like 8x research cost or something like that. I turn on a bunch of stuff to kind of drag out the game and force me to like make these huge economies. I enjoy that. I enjoy the scale that you can. And I like spreading out. I really like when my bases are all spread out super far. And you gotta like take a train ride to go anywhere. This is one of those songs that's gonna have like vocal breaks in it of just like weird vocal samples, like Alan Watts just talking about something. Annoying. I can feel it. When you were making an arena bullet hell, Fusionist, you wanted the game to have a lot of options so players could pick their preferred way to play, but you also tried making a bunch of presets so people didn't feel like they were making stupid stuff up. You never finished making the game. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm obviously making a game that's going to be very heavy on, you know, player designed content and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects my design style. All right, that's it for that. What do we need to do? So I need to do the same thing for the Y. Shouldn't be that hard. Duplicate this layer. Call it the Y. Bulk. Full interior. Move it down. Move the whole layer down here. I think we can. Oh, we gotta flip H. Well, to this song's credit, nobody's started talking yet. Appreciate. All right, I need to go grab this. I'm gonna go grab the. What is this? The wall? Okay. New layer. I had to say it. It still hasn't done it. Unless I just, like, blacked out and didn't notice. Okay, this is... I'm very happy with this form, the texture atlas we've got going so far. This looks, like, very compact and going to be very good. Compared to this, which was just a disaster. This was so horrible. There's some really sweet efficiencies we're going to find with this as well, beyond just compactness. There's a single format, which is great. Right, let's go grab the outline. I do need to clean up my project folder. I've got so many variations of so many different things that we don't use anymore. All right. Oh, man. Always on the wrong layer. So they call me Wrong Layer Dave. Let's finish this. I'm going to be very pleased if we can finish this atlas. And then it's just a matter of plugging it all in. We still have to teach the autotiler about the corners, but I think it's going to be really easy with the way we've come up with the 4-dimensional mapping for it. Means we shouldn't need to mess with the stuff we've already figured out. We'll just add to it. I could save myself a little bit of work here. I just copy this stuff over. Oh, that is the wrong layer. You off by one layer? Yeah. Yeah. Your job here is done. You did it. Now I am always on the wrong layer. It's a real problem. I can actually copy almost all of this over, I think, here. No, I can't. Easier to just redraw it. Next time we do this, we're using the tablet. This is not pleasant to do with a mouse. We got a game jam in like a week we're doing. I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. And I have a feeling I'm not gonna spend a lot of time preparing. I've taken some time off work for it, which will be good. But yeah, this upcoming weekend is Labor Day weekend, which will be really nice to kind of unwind. And then the weekend after that is Down to Jam, which is going to be awesome. I would love to have another jam game, or a jam game that I make this year. I haven't made any this year. I tried once, failed. So it'd be nice if I could get my success rate up to 50% for this year. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to do another jam after this one either. Ludum Dare, of course, is like very inconveniently timed for me for in the fall. Every time. What do you plan on preparing? I don't know. Set achievable goals. Yeah, that helps. Make a game that you can make. Decide to make a game that you can make in 3 days. To be fair, what I thought The mistake I made with the last one was I really wanted to do this isometric thing. The problem is the game space was in 3D, and it's like I have so much code and stuff that would have made that so easy, but it's all in the main project and it's not templatized at all. And it, since it's C#, I wouldn't have been able to do a web export anyway. So it's like I just need to be conscious of that and do something. Like, it's one thing to just do an isometric art style. I think that's fine, but I need to make sure that the game space of my next game is just pure 2D. Because, yeah, we tried to do a crazy 3D Tetris thing that was like super cool, but I thought it would be cool. But, yeah, it was hard. And we didn't do it. We didn't make it. So, yeah, we'll definitely try to be more responsible. But the last one was Ludum Dare Compo, and it was 2 days. It was 48 hours, so at least this time we have 72 hours. And it's a smaller jam, so not quite as much pressure. So, I don't know. I aim to have fun and try not to sweat it too much. It'd be nice to get a cool game out of it, but yeah, we're just trying to build. I'm just trying to build my confidence back up for whenever we do another big jam, which will probably be Ludum Dare in the spring or something. But yeah, I really need to put some effort. I have a template project that's supposed to have things like ready-made, like simple like UI, like menus and stuff like that. Like stuff that's like generic and like I really shouldn't waste time redoing every time I do a jam, but it's always such a low priority for me to work on that I just don't. Lower left, upper left, lower right, upper right. Is that the pattern? Yeah, that is. Okay. Having fun is the most important part. Yeah. It'll be intense. I'll probably do the thing I usually do where we like stream almost the whole thing. It's a much smaller stream, so I didn't anticipate like huge viewership or anything. Unlike Ludum Dare, when I do Ludum Dare, like it's crazy. So I'm kind of looking forward to having something a little more chill this time. And there's a solo dev category, which I really like. I don't like doing a jam when there's no solo dev category. I don't like having to compete against teams. It doesn't feel good. I kind of like just doing my own thing. JD, hey, what's up, JD? Incorrect. Getting rich is the most important part. That's why all of us got into game dev. Yeah, I definitely got into game dev for the money. Definitely. I mean, honestly, back when I did start trying to get into game dev, that was probably kind of true to an extent. It certainly seemed like more possible, but I've never managed to make it happen. How's it going, JD? Yeah, my first GDC was 2008. Felt like the sky was the limit back then. I was just a kid. I was just there. Just blown away by everything. Here I am, still kind of just struggling along here. I definitely wasn't ready back then, which is self-evident from the fact that I'm barely ready now. All right. Let's those are done. That's all we need to do by hand. So now we just need to set up the layers for the other stuff. Go Y bulk full, X bulk half, Y bulk full, Y bulk half. Do I want to store these by part or by... I don't know, whatever. We have a bunch of extra space here. I don't know what to do with it, but I guess it's fine. We're getting close. We're getting the power too out of here. Yeah, I don't know if I want to organize it by type or by face. Whatever. I want to space this a little wider. It doesn't matter. And it's just a little cleaner. What are you working on? As long as it doesn't try. Oh, no, not distracting. We're making a new tileset atlas format for my autotiler. We're teaching the autotiler about corners. Previously, it only really understood sides, and we were really struggling with it. We've made a bunch of them. We've been working on this for like a week. Our last iteration was a lot. It was, this is it, and it was way overcomplicated. Because I kept wanting to do these half outlines, which for the autotiler it kind of needed based on the way the block editor worked, and I just couldn't get it to work right in a way that the mapping was like intelligible and like correct, and like, because there's this format and then there's the format the autotiler uses, which is a different format, and so there's a challenge of mapping the two. And all I did today, we finally had our breakthrough, which is let's just simplify the autotiler. Let's just make a couple of design options illegal. And then that removed the need for these half outlines, these half vertical lines. And so now we can get this super simple, I say super, this much more simple version here, which only worries about sides and corners. And this is great. So we're setting this up. And then we're going to teach the autotiler about the corners. Yeah. It's surprising how often the correct choice is to cut something. You run into a great difficulty, cut something. That's what I'm learning. Subtractive design. I think I want to organize this a little differently, but this is fine. Like I could change this. I guess it's super arbitrary what I choose to do here. But I'm tempted to have the Walls on top, then the half walls, and then the floors, and then just put these pieces along the edges in some random order. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I think I want to do that, but let's finish putting these down first. Oh no, I went into advanced mode. Oh, not advanced mode. It's too advanced. That was scary. Yeah, I would love when we're done with this. It's been mind-numbing for everyone involved. You, me, everyone. And I hope once we finish this format thing that we can just use this format. This is hopefully going to be the only format we need, really, with a few exceptions, which will be very obvious. Like, you could imagine a version that doesn't care about corners. Well, actually, that's not true. You could imagine a version that doesn't care about corners or sides. I don't know if we'd ever have a version that doesn't care about corners. Because there's an outline problem that comes up when you don't do the corners, which I've talked about before. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. All right, so let's move these around. Can I move more than one of them at a time? Yeah, okay, sick. Get these out of the way. Why? Wait. Hold on a second. Oh no, that's right. Never mind. Never mind. Psyching myself out here. Hello, Steph. Hey, what's up? You're in the middle, not the middle, of following Handmade Hero by Casey Muratori. He's got some serious cool ideas. I love Handmade Hero. I've had that on in the background a lot. I've watched like the old stuff, and then I'd like occasionally tune into the new stuff when he was doing that. It's really cool. It's never been particularly helpful for me because I don't do stuff from scratch, but it's really interesting to see the process. Yeah, I think that's a great resource. I think everyone should watch Handmade Hero at some point. It really demystifies a lot of the stuff about making an engine, a game and an engine pretty much from scratch. I don't think everyone should do that, but I think everyone should at least have an idea about what that involves. Then it's easier to make the calculation, to make the trade-off. Whoa. Oh, never mind. Wrong layer Dave strikes again. Does this work? Am I crazy to do it like this? I think I like this ordering, where it's like full wall, half wall, then floor. I think that is an intuitive way to order it here. And then just the Z level stuff here. in whatever order. Doesn't really matter. Should watch what? Handmade Hero by Casey Muratori. It's this very long-running series where Casey makes like a game and an engine, like from maybe engine's a strong word, but he builds a game from scratch. And it's not like, you know, booting up Unity or anything. He like does it all from scratch. Like, it's very cool. An old series. I usually lose track of what he's working on partway through, but it's very cool. All right, this is bulk. Hop. I'm actually not sure how to arrange this part of it. I think there's going to be a lot of these that are virtually identical. So let's say bulk, full. A lot of qualifiers we're putting together here. Oops. He goes by the handle Molly Rocket. Oh yeah, that's kind of the name of like the thing. I don't know. I've never. I guess I've seen that. I used to be part of the Molly Rocket Discord. I haven't followed their new stuff. The like the coding camp thing. That looked really cool, but I just don't feel like I've had time for that. Also, what's going on here? Oh, there we go. All right, so these are all, so we can duplicate these again here. Weird that it's letting me leave these as duplicate names here. Oh, wait, hold on. Where are these? I want these. Oh, this is full mid, not half mid. Polly Pocket. Molly Rocket. Yeah, Handmade Hero. Kind of the only thing I think you need to look up. Good stuff. We're almost done. Look at me using all my layers. Full F. Having a really hard time today. The little carrot, the little carrot that you use for the typing here is so thick that it like hides characters behind it. It's kind of funny. All right, let's move these all down like this. Is this right? Yeah. And then one more time here. All right, we're almost done. This is great. Good stuff. Is this, am I getting a bit ahead of myself here? A little bit. A little bit. Huh. I gotta think about that. I'm making too many Z levels. Or Z layer entries. I'm realizing that now. I guess it's fine. Doesn't really matter. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4. Might split this up a little differently. We'll see. We'll get to that part. I'm thinking about the different variations. And I'm getting a little carried away with adding those variations in here, which I don't need to do. I actually could get rid of all of this for now, which I probably should do. Because we actually don't currently support. No, I guess we do. I guess we do. Yeah, I'm gonna think about that. There's the extra space here doesn't matter, and I'll think about how I want to do that later. Because I'm thinking about, you know, we have multiple shades. We have like the exterior, the interior, and like the entombed, the quote unquote middle, which are like when stuff doesn't see light. We have these variations. We don't have those here, so it's kind of stupid for me to be iterating over those, but whatever. Yeah, let's do this instead. Let's just say Z deck top and Z deck mid. Let's get rid of these. Actually, we could just call it Z top, Z mid. I don't know, whatever. Who cares? We did it. The important thing is that we did it. We got a new tile set atlas that is simple. It's easy to use. It's going to be super easy to map. Yeah, very pleased. It's gonna fix a lot of problems with the autotiler. A lot of problems that literally only I have noticed, but they're there. It's way better than this crazy overwrought thing. If something's a pain to implement, just ask yourself, is it worth implementing? I don't know what happened there. That's the question. And so I'll finish working on this mapping diagram and then actually mapping it to the JSON file. Should be easy. Actually, no, I don't need to make any changes to the JSON file. What we do need to do is change the storage mechanism a little bit. But that's easy. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap things up here. I know this has been another super boring, very uneventful stream. I swear we've got some more exciting stuff coming around the corner soon. But yeah, I appreciate everyone who's chosen to chill with me here today. Hope y'all are achieving your goals as well. Or if you're not achieving your goals, I hope you're having a good time. Oh, Twitch wants to run an ad. Nope, we're wrapping up. I appreciate that. I appreciate you all hanging out, whether depending on, you know, regardless of what we got going on. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. same time, same place, same problems. Well, different problem, finally. That'll be nice. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.
Maximum warp.